We love spending time on the river. The 11 Point is so beautiful. This week has been filled with many ups and very few downs, so we are very blessed, and we're so thankful for the answered prayers about Mike's retirement and our financial stability. We even talked to the builder this week and making plans and looking forward to the future, which is something that we had kind of lost along the way this past year. We had to kind of stop what we were doing, and our dreams and plans had come to a standstill. But now we are looking for a brighter future with a little less arrogance and a lot more dependence upon God, which is where it should have been to begin with. So, for those of you who are praying for us, thank you so much for remembering us and giving us time to kind of realize what we needed to do. We showed you guys pictures of the two fawns that we really loved, but we found the bones of one of them in the creek bottom, and so one has survived. And the donkeys are still there. We saw them this weekend. They're eating the grass. They're loving that. And Grandma Ola's jonquils are in full bloom. Just it just took about 3 or 4 days, and we came back to the farm, and uh, they're all blossomed out, looking really pretty. At school, some of the teachers put out these big, beautiful yellow jonquils, and it is kind of like the first sign of spring. And they started putting those out this week, so man, it just makes you feel so good, like winter is finally coming to an end. Here in the flatlands, we see these birds acting like this, right before a winter snowstorm. They cluster together, they start eating ravenously. But during the spring, they cluster together like this and fly around and make these patterns. I don't remember seeing anything like this in the foothills. This is our sweet Henry. He sure does like to eat. And he tells us he loves us with his eyes most of the time. He blinks them. Alright, so we went adventuring today, and we took some back roads that I haven't seen in quite a while, I mean, a long time. So we got to see where the Bella Cemetery is. That's where some of my relatives are buried, and the Yadkin Church and the cemetery, which there's a group of people here in Raven Springs that are trying to get that restored. And we went to Mammoth Springs along the way, and the Grand Gulf Park. And what else did we do, Mikey?
Get every driver road on Nubbin Ridge.
Yeah, we thought we were going to come out in Dalton. No, we ended up in Raven Springs. So I've got pictures of the countryside, and it's beautiful. My goodness, it's beautiful. And more low water bridges than I remembered from my childhood. So I hope you enjoy this video. Welcome to Grand Gulf State Park in Thayer, Missouri. Mike and I decided to go on a little adventure this weekend. We came to the Grand Gulf State Park in Thayer, Missouri. It's kind of like the
Grand Canyon of Thayer, or Missouri.
So it's kind of neat.
Yep.
Shallow Church Branch is a losing stream. During wet weather, it flows into the Grand Gulf over a bluff at the southern end of the Gulf, creating a waterfall. And the waterfall drops down and disappears into a hole in the plunge pool. The branch then flows beneath its stream bed and reemerges about 100 feet downstream as a spring. And while standing on the platform, you can see where the spring comes out of the ground at the bottom of the gulf. It will either appear as water flowing out of a hole and down the stream bed, or in the absence of water, as a dark hole in the rock. How does a natural bridge form? Well, during the rock formation process, many cracks form in the rock. And where there are more cracks, greater erosion occurs. And where there are fewer cracks, the rock is stronger. And eventually, the weaker, more highly eroded rock collapses into the bottom of the caves and tunnels. The sections of the ceilings made of the more resistant rock do not collapse and instead create natural bridges. Sometimes natural bridges are narrow and very easy to see, and other natural bridges can be thick, wide, and not as easily recognizable. The Grand Gulf does have a natural bridge. It is thick and wide and nearly the length of a football field. You're currently standing on the part of this natural bridge here in just a few minutes, and it will dip down 117 feet. It is the entrance to a tunnel, which is all that remains of the old cave passage. Water goes into the tunnel and disappears underneath you and travels 290 feet and comes out behind you at the sink. And this 290-foot long tunnel is 75 feet high at the entrance and narrows down to only 11 feet where it opens out into the sink. Right now we're looking at the waterfall because The rains have caused so much water to be flooded into the Gulf. The water that enters Grand Gulf comes from two different watersheds. The Bustle Branch watershed sheds its rainwater into the Bustle Branch, and this watershed covers approximately 22 square miles of land. And the Shiloh Church watershed sheds its waterfall into the Shiloh Church Branch, and this watershed covers approximately 1.5 square miles of land. These two streams come together at a junction in Grand Gulf, hence the name the Grand Junction. Now, as you would stand on the platform looking forward, you can see two narrow valleys separated by a small ridge. Whether full of water or empty, the ridge and valleys are easily recognizable. And straight ahead is the Brussels Branch arm of the Grand Gulf. And to the left, entering diagonally, is the Shiloh Church arm of Grand Gulf. A narrow bridge separates the two streams, and the star on the Grand Junction map where both streams meet. Luella Agnes Owen was a courageous woman, ahead of her time. She studied geology and soil science and fearlessly explored caves. Owen convinced men to take her along on their explorations from 1892 through 1897. It was during that time that Owen visited what would become the Grand Gulf State Park. Along with her nephew and his guide, Owen explored the Grand Gulf Sink Cave, and the cave led them deep into a tunnel where they came upon an underground river and a boat tethered to the shore. Leaving her companions behind, Owen set out to the boat, burning a magnesium ribbon as her only source of light. And Owen writes of her chilling account. Although the water looked perfectly placid, the boat drifted with surprising speed, so the two scared faces peering after me soon lost sight of it, and the channel was nowhere more than 6 feet wide. Consequently, as the boat inclined to drive against either wall, I was able with care to keep it off the rocks with my hands, and in the same way guide it around the sharp turns in safety. After several of these turns, they appeared the mouth of a passage, much smaller than the roof was, only 12 inches above the side of the boat, and I could touch both walls at the same time. The small eyeless fish had been noticeable in water everywhere, but now came swimming about the boat in an astonishing multitude and unconscious of any danger, as been in a flower garden. Welcome to Mammoth Springs State Park. The legend of Mammoth Springs goes like this. Long ago, a group of Indians camped in this area along the Warm Fork River, and when a long and terrible drought occurred, the river nearly ran dry, and the chief sent his son and the other warriors to seek more water. And during the search, the chief's son died, and while burying him, a large stream of water shot from the graveside, and the chief vowed the new spring would flow forever, since his son had died searching for water and it had been found while burying him. And so the legend goes on. Mammoth Spring flows at an average rate of 9.78 million gallons of water per hour, and this equals 235 million gallons per day. The water temperature is a constant 58 degrees Fahrenheit. You may be wondering if there are fish in this lake. Because the water from the spring is high in nitrogen, most fish are not able to survive. However, grass pike and sculpin are abundant in the lake. Can the power plant be restored? Well, a feasibility study was made in 1981 that determined it would be uneconomical to restore the plant. The age of the equipment and the changes in storage capacity of the lake increased renovation costs and reduced the amount of electricity that could be generated. You might have noticed the bridge from the power plant to the lake. The bridge provided an important link between the train station and the city of Mammoth Spring. The first bridge made of wood was replaced by a steel bridge, and the steel bridge was privately owned and was sold as scrap metal in the 1960s. The constant flow of water has provided a reliable source of power as early as 1835, when a grist mill was located on the banks of the river. As the city flourished, the dam was built by Mammoth Spring Improvement and Water Power Company in 1888, and this enabled larger companies such as the cotton mill, shoe factory, and wheat mill to operate belt-driven machinery powered by the water flow. Arkansas and Missouri Power Company bought the rights to the dam in 1925 and constructed a hydroelectric plant in 1927. This plant provided electricity to the area until 1972. Today it is there for everyone to enjoy.
I'm into the woods. Y'all go that way, we'll go this way. See, everybody's shot. Oh, I'm gonna go him. I don't like Bill.
There's a wedding venue that's close to Bradenton Springs. It's called the Plantation Place in Magnolia